The black cat, whom the family had named Onyx, was more of a shadow than a pet. He never purred, never sought a lap, never rubbed against a leg. He simply existed in the periphery, his yellow eyes watching the family's life unfold with a quiet, unnerving indifference. Mark, the father, had never wanted him. "He's a bad omen," he'd mutter, watching the cat disappear into the dark corners of the house. His wife, Sarah, had brought him home from a shelter, hoping for a companion, but Onyx offered no companionship. He just watched. Especially the baby, Lily. When Lily was in her crib, Onyx would often be perched on the dresser, a silent, unblinking sentinel. Sarah found it creepy. Mark found it threatening. "He's just waiting for a chance," Mark warned. "Cats can smother babies, you know." They started closing the nursery door, but Onyx would sit outside, a dark shape against the wood, waiting. The resentment grew. The cat was a source of constant tension, an unwanted ghost in their home. They tried to make him an outdoor cat, but he would reappear at the window, his gaze fixed on the inside, on the baby. The family meetings became more frequent. "We have to get rid of him," Mark insisted one evening. "He's not a pet, he's a problem." Sarah, defeated and tired, finally agreed. The decision was made. The next day, Onyx would be taken back to the shelter. That night, a strange, suffocating heat settled over the house. The air was thick and still. It was just after 2 a.m. when the world fractured. A faint, acrid smell slithered through the hallways, a serpent of smoke. No one stirred. The smoke detectors, their batteries dead for weeks, remained silent. In the living room, a faulty wire behind the television had sparked, smoldered, and finally ignited a curtain. The flames began to lick at the walls, hungry and silent. The house slept on, oblivious to its own demise. But one creature was awake. Onyx, from his post on the living room armchair, saw the first flicker of orange. He didn't meow or screech. That wasn't his way. His lithe body dropped to the floor, and he moved with a purpose no one in the family had ever seen. He didn't run for the door. He didn't hide. He ran towards the danger, towards the growing heat and the thickening smoke. He went straight to the master bedroom, leaping onto the bed. He clawed at the duvet, a frantic, desperate act. Mark swatted him away in his sleep. "Get out of here, you stupid cat," he mumbled, rolling over. Onyx tried again, this time clawing at Sarah's face, earning a sharp cry of sleepy anger. He was pushed to the floor. Desperation fueled him. He knew they didn't understand. The smoke was getting thicker, stinging his eyes. He had one last thought, one last focus: the baby. He bolted from the room, a black streak through the haze. The nursery door was, for once, ajar. Inside, Lily was sleeping soundly, the smoke now curling under her door, beginning to fill her small room. Onyx leaped into the crib. He didn't have the strength to carry her, but he could try something else. He nudged her, then nudged her again, harder. Lily stirred, but didn't wake. The fire was roaring now, the sound a low growl in the house's throat. Time was running out. Then he did the unthinkable. Onyx grabbed the collar of the baby's onesie with his teeth. He pulled. It wasn't enough. He readjusted his grip, planting his paws on the crib's railing for leverage. He pulled again, with a strength born of pure instinct. The baby, a dead weight, began to slide. He dragged her, inch by painful inch, out of the crib. She tumbled onto the soft rug with a soft thud and began to cry, a loud, piercing wail that finally cut through the night. At the same moment, the living room window exploded from the heat. The sound, combined with Lily's screams, finally jolted Mark and Sarah awake. They smelled the smoke instantly. Panic seized them. "Lily!" Sarah screamed. Mark threw open their bedroom door and was met by a wall of black smoke. He couldn't see, couldn't breathe, but he could hear his daughter crying. He dropped to the floor, crawling. He followed the sound, his lungs burning. And then he saw it. A sight that would be seared into his memory forever. In the hazy glow of the fire, Just outside the nursery doorway was Onyx, the hated, aloof, silent cat, and he was standing guard over Lily's crying form, his body shielding her from the hallway, his yellow eyes fixed on the approaching flames. He was hissing, a sound they had never heard, a sound of pure, defiant fury. He had dragged her to safety. Mark grabbed Lily, his heart hammering against his ribs. He turned and saw Sarah, and together they scrambled towards the back door, bursting out into the cold night air, just as the fire consumed the hallway they had just escaped. They stood on the lawn, watching their home burn, the sirens wailing in the distance. Sarah was sobbing, clutching Lily. Mark's eyes searched the yard. "The cat," he whispered, his voice hoarse. "Where's Onyx?" They couldn't see him. A firefighter, hearing them, shone a powerful flashlight towards the house, and there, near the smoldering back porch, was a small, singed black form. He was limping, his fur matted with soot, but he was alive. He was watching them, watching the baby. Sarah ran to him, scooping him up without a second thought. For the first time, he didn't resist. He felt limp in her arms, his small body trembling. She held him, tears streaming down her face, burying her face in his smoky fur. "You saved her," she wept. "You saved our baby." Mark came over, his own eyes wet with tears of shame and gratitude. He reached out a hand, not to push the cat away, but to gently stroke its head. "I'm so sorry," he whispered. Onyx looked up, and in that moment, his yellow eyes didn't seem indifferent or cold. They seemed to hold a deep, ancient understanding. He let out a soft, rattling sound. It was the first time they had ever heard him purr. Sometimes, love isn't shown in purrs and cuddles, but in the silent, fierce courage that stands between the ones you care for and the fire.